Hi, Billy, and thanks for joining us today.
Hi guys, good to be talking to you at last.
Indeed. Now, Billy, recently you took part in a NASDU endorsed overseas international dog handler course in Zimbabwe. Billy, what attracted you to
Yeah,
the course in the first instance?
well, there was lots of things. I've been interested in conservation and done some conservation work over here. We I've trained tracking dogs, but that's for animal works. But what attracted me was the fact that I've always fancied going to an African country. Seeing what Simon put up just ticked all the boxes for me. Was work with a Mal, which has been on my bucket list for 20 years, easy. And to work with the mouth, learn all about cracking, and be in the African bush, all boxes were ticked.
You've seen Simon's work before then?
I've just caught with him in about 2 months before the course come up, and I was just started following him on Facebook and thought, oh, that's a bit of an interesting guy. And then the next year, you know what, pops this thing about going to Zimbabwe. And I got talking to Mary, my partner, and thought, look at this, ticks all my boxes. I want to go to Africa. I want to see something of it. And I want to work with a Mal, and it's just all there. And yeah, it ticked 3 of my bucket list boxes as such.
That's brilliant.
The only thing that was missing was the wildlife. But then we were going out for a bloody good reason, like as in to be able to learn about the poaching dogs, the poaching, and all that type of stuff as well.
Fantastic. Certainly, there's been a lot of poaching in that area, and it's killed off a lot of the wildlife. But there are plans for that wildlife to return. Some very exciting things in the lineup, and I guess it's exciting to be part of that journey. Now, Billy, it was a long way to travel. Why Zimbabwe, and why Simon?
Basically, because as I say, he ticked the boxes. He ticked my boxes basically with what it was, and I did delve into him with what he'd been doing because I'd never heard of NASDU, and so that was a bit of what's this? What's NASDU? So I looked him up, and I what's the word for it? Stalked him for a while. As in on Facebook stalked him, and then looked at a few other things. And I thought, well, yeah, he seems to know what he's doing. He's had a good grounding.
Yeah. So you did your due diligence on him.
Yeah, I did. I done my little bit of homework because I thought, well, this is going to cost me a bit, which it did. No, but I was happy to spend that money, knowing it was going to a good cause. And yeah, again, like I said, it just ticked the boxes for me.
That's fantastic.
And that's what it was. We had a guy with a reputation as a trainer, a good trainer. I stalked him, seen what the work he'd been doing, and thought, yeah, sounds all right. Listen to his voice, listen to the way he's doing, listen to the way he's putting it across to other people. I thought, no, I can cope with that. Because, there's certain things I can put up with and can't put up with. And, he addressed people quite happily. And, it was good. It's good the way he put everything across. That's the only way I can say it, really.
That's brilliant. And you flew in from New Zealand to Zimbabwe. You landed at Harare. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, after 36 hours.
36 hours. Gosh, where did the flights go by?
Yeah, from the time I left the door to the time I arrived in Harare was 36 hours.
That's quite a journey.
Yep, 2 hours traveling. A lot of people thought I was a bit crazy doing it, but hey, made it more of an adventure.
Absolutely. That's the best way to look at it, really. What was your first impression on arrival in Zimbabwe?
It was look around it, and he got me through the, what do you call it? We had to get our visa. Yeah, that's what it was, looking around. Oh, well, this is a little airport. Yeah, not bad. We'll get through here, do this, stand in the queue. We got through it, and then it was out straight into the car and met with Peter from the Canine Conservation Trust. And then we went off to the kennels, and it was different. That's the best way I can put it. It was different, but all was good. There were 2 of Peter's workers. Can't remember their names now, Grace and someone else. And they were really welcoming. Took out bags and done everything and talking and chatting all the way. So the welcome was pretty good. Yeah, there was no worries, basically. Yeah, they just engaged in conversation and had me laughing and joking right the way through.
That's fantastic.
Back in the truck, and we got on a truck and then to the kennels.
I understand there was a long drive from Harare to the Mahamara bush camp. What can you tell me about that?
Enlightening. Very enlightening. Yeah, because I didn't know what to expect. Really didn't know what to expect. And as in for the drive down, and it was going to be a long drive. And in some ways, I thought, oh, we were driving through the bush and we're going to see the animals. But what I did see with the poverty and the people all around and all that, and it was getting explained to me. I was driving along and I thought, wow, this is a completely different world to what I'm used to. Completely different. But then as the further we got out of town, then we were seeing more and more of the bush. You could see there was no wildlife about. Bird life, there was a bit of bird life here and there. But the drive was made good with, there was Peter, there was Stamford and Paddy, which were the anti-poaching crew. And they had Aiko, which was the dog, in the back with them, which was the dog I was going to be working. And then, yeah, it was just banter and chat all the way down. They did have to put up with a bit of rabbit work from me. But yeah, it was good. It was good. And then we got down to the actual area, got more and more remote as we was going down. And I didn't have a clue where we was going, basically. But yeah, not that it was too bothered. And then next thing you know, we're in Mahamara, if I said that right, country lodge there. And wow, where did this place spring from?
Gosh, now that bush camp hasn't been used for about 15 years. Tell us about the bush camp. What was it like?
Well, I was surprised to see somewhere of such standing, is that the word I could put to it? Something that had been built that was substantial, because we've been driving through little bits of shanty towns and mud huts and things like that, the way the people are living there. And then this thing just popped up, and there's lodges and the main house, what would you call it? Not house, the main meeting room, the main part of the lodge. And then, yeah, it's all made out of stone, big thatch roofs, and swimming pool and such there. And yeah, it was just, wow, where did this place come from? And to think that it had been used as a hunting lodge a long time ago. Yeah, I've done quite a bit of hunting over here in New Zealand, so that made me feel I could see it. I could see what it was and how it worked all them years ago. Which again then makes you realise the game that was about to have built such a place and how it could have worked for them.
I'm guessing one of the highlights of the course was meeting your course dog.
Yeah, Aiko. So she was. We met her at the kennels, Peter's Kennels, and then she was in the back, and obviously they kept her with Taddy, who was the young guy there, and he looked after her all the way down. And then I was sat there in front of her, and I just wanted to get in the back and shove him out the way and take the dog over straight away. But I think that would have been a bit too much. But yeah, I was quite excited to know that she was going to be my working dog.
Yeah.
And introducing her to the bush and tracking and things. And yeah, it was brilliant. It was nice to be able to think, ooh, what to expect of this. And not having worked with a Mal before, it was I just again didn't know what to expect. Read about them, heard about how a phenomenal dog they are. And obviously I'd seen what Simon had done with them previously.
Yeah.
So yeah, expectations were just going through the roof for me.
That's brilliant. What was the breed? You keep calling. What breed is that dog?
Belgian Malinois, sorry.
Ah, gotcha. Fantastic. Is that the first time you worked with that breed before?
I did have one in kennels with me a couple of weeks before, because we kennel a few dogs here, and someone asked me to look after one. So I had a little bit of an insight into it. So we just boarded her and just basic sit stay, so I could see how excitable they were. But because it wasn't my dog as such and wasn't going to be my dog, it was just the basics. And I've got a friend that works them up in the North Island of New Zealand. And yeah, and I've had an interest in them and read about them, but never had one. I always thought they were too much of a high caliber for me to be able to put the time into one, but always wanted one. Gotcha. And always wanted to work with one.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I understand from Simon that the existing kennels were not really up to purpose, and there's plans to upgrade some stables. Is that right?
Yes. So the existing kennels were basic, They served the purpose, but everybody on board to upgrade the stables that are there, and there was plans made. They were starting to take measurements and look at what work can be done. So the kennels are going to be converted. I think it's a 4-bay stables that's there, substantially built out of brickwork or blockwork, whatever it was, and they're going to build a new runs on each one for each dog to be housed in, and then it'll have quite a fair area inside. So yeah, they'll be amazing when they're done. So yeah, that will be good for the dogs as well, and for everybody basically. Yeah.
It's fantastic. On the camp itself, what you lived in a hard standing building. You lived and slept in a hard standing building. What was the accommodation like?
Yep, the lights were solar panels, little solar lights. That was one thing we had to get used to. But the actual building itself, when we got in there and looked around, and there's a big thatched roof on it, all timber work in the ceiling, and having a bit of an engineering background, I was fascinated by it. Absolutely fascinated, and it was all block work all around. It was ample room, without a doubt. Shower, toilet, bathroom and such, plenty of hot water, and yeah, and a big room to be in. And it was a bit of I'm not cramped. I've got heaps of room. I can spread out, and spread out I did. Put my stuff everywhere, and yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So that sounds pretty good to me. The food there, what was the food like?
Again, all the food. Yep, that was really good. Plenty of meat, which I'm a bit of a meat fanatic. Do enjoy my steaks and various bits of meat. And we had a chef, and he prepared all the food, and we all sat together. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4. But 8 of us that sat together eating the food, and no faults at all, no complaints at all. There's only one thing that I wasn't too sure of, and that was their local mix, which is called sada. And that's an acquired taste, I think. And not being a cabbage green person wasn't in my acquired taste requirements.
Oh, great.
But for anybody, yeah, for breakfast, you had a full breakfast, eggs, bacon, beans, toast. Yeah, it was all there in the morning. Sausages, all cooked up for you, 7:30 every morning there, piping hot, on the side, help yourself, buffet style, get it down you. What a way to start the day.
Sounds brilliant. It's idyllic. It's not really even how I live here back in the UK. So yeah, I'm quite envious.
I've come back to muesli now. I'm saddened.
Think of your cholesterol, Billy.
Yeah. We couldn't do it all the time.
No. So you said there were 8 other people there. The fellow course members, how did you fit in with them? Because a lot of those were people who live and work within Zimbabwe. How did you find that?
They were welcoming. Obviously, there was a language barrier, but they done their best to talk to me and get me to understand. I'm a little bit deaf as well, so it can be hard of hearing. But I think I might have. They might have got a little bit cheesy me sometimes explaining, but no, they were good. They explained everything. Where I was lost, they would do their best to explain to me, help me with the dog. And yeah, we struck up a few conversations. I bored them to death with my rabbit work. And no, it was good. They were very accommodating. I'd say. As I said, like it was good.
That's fantastic. Now, you keep saying rabbit work. Can you explain to me what rabbit work is?
Oh, just for Simon. I think we should get Simon on. He'll tell you all about it. You've heard me by now. Since I've been in New Zealand, I've just taken to rabbit control work and conservation work over here. But the basic nut and bolts of it for me has been rabbit control work. We got rabbits in New Zealand like you wouldn't have seen before. Wow. There's some areas you can go where you clap your hand and the whole ground moves as such. And yeah, so I've been involved. Brought my skills from Wales, where I'd done ferret work and dog work over there with rabbits as a hobby, and it became a full-time job in New Zealand for me, which is a big change from my Boilermaker work, is what I come out here as. So, yeah, it's been fascinating.
Fantastic. And Simon, is he a bit of a taskmaster?
You know where you are with Simon. That's the way I put it, nicely. And I did say the best way to tell me is to tell me straight. So that's what I expected from him. He puts it across. You've got it all cut out what you're going to do. I would say from the army background, 7:30 and 7:30, not 7:35. Although he was quite accommodating with it, and yeah, he's good. He sets it all out, sets it out well. You know what you're doing, you know what you're going to do, and it's there to be done, and that's how we're going to do it.
That's good.
Which is good because it's straight, and you know exactly where you are with it. And I thought it was great. I like that type of plain sailing as such.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing today, and this is what we're going to do it, and this is how you're going to do it, and that's what we've done, and that's the way it worked all day long. So it was great.
Yeah, it's a good structure, isn't it? What did you enjoy the most being out there, Billy?
The most exhilarating thing for me was being, I would say, pulled around the bush, but being behind a mal that is tracking through the bush. After each track that we'd done, the exhilaration was just fantastic. I was just, once or twice I thought the old hat's going to pop through the old cloth here. But for me, it was, as soon as we found that Kong at the end of it, it was the end of the road. And wow, it was just great. It was just, I just felt really uplifted. I can't really explain it for the fact that it was just great. It was so exhilarating that it was just, ooh.
Sounds like a tremendous experience.
Yep. And getting taught as we're going through, I say going through the bush is completely different to any. We've got bush here in New Zealand, which we go through and we find our way through and things like that. But when you've got a dog that's tracking a scent and you want to keep it on that scent and trying to think of everything that you're being taught, keeping in control, letting the dog take you where it's got you, watching the dog, and then realizing you've messed up a few times, and then being put back on track with Simon in the early days of it was brilliant. Try this, try that. He didn't tell you exactly. It was try this. How about you do this? How about you do that? And it was instruction that you had to action yourselves on. Yeah.
And what did you least enjoy?
Sada, which was their call. The Sada. And that's about it. That was just eating it. But out of the actual course, nothing. There was nothing I found wrong with it. There was nothing. No, nothing. It was great. The surroundings were great. I had to wander around with a spotlight at night myself, seen a bit of the wildlife, owls, and a thing called a horax. I believe that's the right name of it. They call it a rock rabbit. Mm. So, it was it was all good. All good. Couldn't think of, and it's only going to get better because there's lots of things that they're going to improve on at the lodge itself. And so I think it's a phenomenal opportunity, and I might venture back out there again, Simon.
That's fantastic. I think you'd definitely be welcomed there. And it's good to see and be part of that journey of growth in an area like Mahamara. You obviously were the Pathfinders. Yep. That was the first course that was being run there. And you've got to run the first course to see what needs to be tested and adjusted. And you've been part of that journey. And I know for sure you'd absolutely be welcome back there.
Oh, well, that's good. Maybe I won't talk so much about rabbits next time.
Well, I think the rock hyrax that you were talking about is probably Africa's version of a rabbit. There's plenty of them knocking around, and they can often be found at very high altitudes. So if you're to go up Mount Kenya, for example, nothing lives at the top apart from the rock hyrax. So they're Africa's rabbit. Wow. Now, what skills do you take? I've eaten one as well, by the way. They're not very tasty at all. No, they don't taste like rabbits. I can tell you that. What skills do you take from the course back to New Zealand, Billy?
Like I said, the tracking side of it, I know where I was self-taught with my tracking and my dog training as such, being basically self-taught with the conservation work I've done over here, and bringing back the scent pads, how to use a scent pad, how to use it effectively, and I can transfer that back in now into the work I'll put into other dogs. So I've got a small job coming up now where I've got to train a weasel dog, and I can see that working between markers and things like that, which you didn't do before. I just kept it in my head where the scent trail went. So now I'll use these markers and getting turns in and putting more scent pads down and all that type of work will just really help me a lot more. In fact, just before this call, I was talking to someone else who wants to bring a dog along, and so we can go through that with him again, like, and get him a bit more running a bit better with, so the actual handler knows what he's doing. So, already it's taken effect and being able to use it, what I've learned out there.
That's brilliant. Outside of the course program, how did you keep yourself entertained in the bush?
Outside of it, you mean when the course, when the lectures had finished and such through the day and the training?
Yes.
Yeah, in the evenings, I was just wandering around. There was a nice area, sit-down area. You could talk to the other people about, go back, have a shower, and then it was tea time, settle down, have food. It got dark quite early. Me being a spotlight, I would go out for a little wander for about a half hour, 20 minutes, or sometimes an hour at night, and have a look about and see what I could see in the spotlight. And then there was talking, chatting amongst each other. There was internet there, so you could get on the internet, send a bit home, upload a few videos that went on through the day. And so it was just, good things like that. And obviously you had to do a little bit of learning in the evening as well. So a little bit of swatting went on. Keep yourself up and going through what I went through in the day, going over it myself so I could improve myself for the next day. It was time for that, reflecting on the work that we'd done. And then through the day, obviously, you were watching the other people taking part in the course. So he was thinking, you could learn from them as well, not just learning from yourself. He was watching as each other handler went through. You could see what there and, am I doing that? Well, maybe I shouldn't be. What did Simon say I need to improve on? And, So, the nights went really quickly with everything that was going through my head then.
It seems like quite an idyllic setting. And did you find it quite relaxing and peaceful at night there?
Yes, in some ways. And then sometimes you'd hear something, what's that up on the roof? That's not a possum. It was good. It was never bad. Like I said, I was relaxed enough to go for a wander just within the grounds, but to wander at night on my own, so no problem there. We've been made aware of what could be about, but obviously I didn't come across anything that shouldn't be there or would give me any problem to cause concern.
Gotcha.
So it was good surroundings, nice, peaceful, safe. Listening to you get a bit of bird life about at night and listening to a few things like that. So that was good.
So you'd definitely do it again then, Billy?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Love to do it again. Yeah. And one of the best part was, or for me, another good part was the money I was putting in towards it. I could see what it was contributing towards and how it needs other people to take part in it and contribute towards that fund and get this wildlife back there.
Definitely. It's definitely breathing new life into the area, isn't it? And to be able to use that former hunting lodge as a facility for good is great. And the courses there are 100% aiding that development just by having people there, just by having people learning how to track and how to handle the dogs there. Everything is beneficial. Yeah, without a doubt. It was seeing it all and watching it all unfold and seeing that. I went on and done a safari afterwards. Where they've gone on top of the poaching. So I was able to get two completely different angles of what was going on there then. And see what the results of what this anti-poaching scheme and the dog tracking and all that can bring to the area and how it can be a beautiful place again with animals roaming and the wildlife could come back and it'd be fantastic. To help anyone thinking about coming on the course, what advice would you give them, Billy?
Talk to Simon. If they want to talk to me, if he allows it, I would say just do it. If you're thinking about it, just do it. Just take the plunge and do it. You won't be disappointed. That's the only thing I can say. I would advise anybody just go for it. Get there and do it. Whatever reason you want to take it for, just do it.
So, Billy, that's pretty much us there, my friend. Do you have anything that you'd like to add into the interview?
No, it's a fantastic opportunity. I'm glad I done it, without a doubt. It was one of the best adventures I've had. So yeah, Africa is a completely different place. It's an eye opener in more ways than one, and there was lots of little adventures within the tracking course itself, like just going to town and buying bits and pieces. We were able to help them with the solar panel setup for to get the scouts to get their mobile phones charged up, which to us is simple. We just walked a plug in the wall. They had nothing. They got no electricity. They had to walk for 2 hours to get their phone charged, then wait for the phone to charge and come back. And it's an essential part of their communications there. So yeah, that we got a little charging unit set up for them, and yeah, it was great. Yeah, I think that's a benefit for them, and now they don't have to do what they were doing. They can just do what we do: plug a USB in and put the phone on charge.
That's brilliant. And each time that there's a course run out there, we leave some benefits behind with us. So every time we go there, we're leaving something that's bettering the site so that the rangers there can continue with their valuable work. And you've played a big part in that with that solar setup.
Yeah, and it's a big job for them. I think it can be, with what they're doing, sometimes they may even be as far as going to put their life on the line with what they're doing out there. Like, so, they've got to apprehend these poachers when they find them. So, yeah, it's a big job for them. And they know what they're up to and they're dedicated to it. So it was good.
Billy, that's brilliant. Well, Billy, thank you so much for joining us today for this interview. And for all the listeners out there, you can take from that the course was a success and the future courses are just going to get better and better. Thank you so much, Billy.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you.